Welcome to the Bright Commerce Podcast.
All right, episode 7. Here we go.
All right. So you want to go?
No, go ahead, man. Go for it.
All right. So this episode we're going to do how to rescue a falling WooCommerce website. So Carlos, tell us a little bit about maybe some of your turnaround stories or common issues or things that you experienced as an agency with a failing WooCommerce site that you've done or one you've had to inherit, unfortunately, from another agency.
Yeah. That's a good one, man, because you encounter that a lot, especially with growing WooCommerce websites.
Management plans.
I mean, we've had people come over to us where they were like, oh, our high school son built it or his friend built it.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Oh, I had a friend. Well, when I hear that,
yeah.
when I
You
hear,
get that one a lot.
oh no, a friend built your
And
website.
then yeah, before you know it, they have a super viable product and it's exploding and the site can't handle it. Or
I,
or some people come over from an old technology stack and they're just like,
all right.
we got to get off this platform, help us.
So I usually try to figure out too when I'm speaking to somebody when they say a family or friend created, I'm like, do you like your website?
Yeah,
I got to get it that first because you don't know if you're going to make someone angry, but like, hey, this is a hot mess. Sometimes
yeah.
it would be like 1 out of 10, but like, there's always that one person that really likes their stuff, even they don't realize it's such a hot mess.
And sometimes, it's so funny. We just picked up this client, WordPress client, not e-com, it's a local business. Um, they are a clay shop out of Philadelphia, right? And it's a very well built site visually. But whoever wrote the theme code for it, they must have been doing it with their eyes closed. I mean, just to give you an idea, the client was complaining that it was taking too long for the homepage to load, specifically on mobile. So I
Yeah,
said, okay, no problem. We'll take a look at it. They had a video that plays on the hero section, which is a common effect, right? It was
yeah.
100 megabytes. They
Oh
never
Lord.
they never took the time to set up a preloader, compress the
Or
video,
I mean, they should have put like it into like a Vimeo service or a Gumlet or
or or
something
even
like.
or even that. And, if you're gonna get the quickest way for loading, it's still self-hosted. You just make like a 5 or 10 megabyte version of it with a preloader on it, and it usually
Yeah,
does the job.
yeah.
So yeah, you kind of get it all. And look, it kind of makes sense, right? Budgets run out, patience runs out, you know?
Yeah, I've always found like I usually I really want to be upfront and honest and from the beginning. So if I find that it's really a complicated site, I typically don't, especially if someone really calls us only to do management, like they just need a person to help manage their site versus like I don't want to have it rebuilt, particularly the ones that just had it built. Um, I kind of go through and do an audit of the site and check it first, and then tell them like, hey, you have these plugins that are bloated. This theme is out of place. But you mentioned something that was really great about the whole theme thing. Don't you hate when there's like a builder like Elementor or Beaver Builder, and they completely write custom CSS code to make the builder worthless? Is that kind of what happened to you?
That's happened to me before, yeah. Well,
It's like,
sometimes though, sometimes these builders don't support certain functions. So you take those shortcuts.
yeah, well, I would challenge that because I think even with Beaver Elementor, you can build the modules
I
inside.
say. Oh, I say.
So, I actually hired from Beaver Builder add-ons or whatever it was called. I actually asked them if they do customization, and they gave me one of their developers to do freelance. And he built perfect Beaver Builder modules for my client. And I call him every once in a while when I need help. And
I
it's
say.
actually the same guys that built the add-ons. Great guy.
They know the stack really well, yeah.
Yeah, it's like so sometimes I'll even reach out to the developer of the plugin and be like, "Hey, you want some custom work or you do custom work?" And I would say like, 4 out of 5 times they say no, we're too busy, but there's always that one where they're like, "Yeah, I can customize it," particularly if it'll help improve their plugin because they're getting paid to improve their own stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So yeah, so the
um,
so the original question was, um, how do we know if a site's underperforming, or how do you?
Yeah. So what would you look at first when evaluating a site before taking on the job to know if it's a problem?
Here's the first thing we look at is the number of plugins they have installed,
Oh
especially
yeah.
especially when you
What's your
start.
what's the most on a brand site, the
Oh,
most plugins on a brand site that you would say are needed?
oh, oh gosh, I mean that's hard to answer. 10 plugins,
Yeah, 10 or
you know,
15.
10
Like
or
15.
15. Sometimes you see 80 plugins, and it's a tell sign that whoever this customer is, they've been through multiple developers, because you see plugins that do the same thing.
Or they got Tourette's when they want to download a feature and they
Oh,
think, oh, and they figured out WordPress.org. They can search and add a feature.
but anyway, you tend to see like plugins that are deactivated, that haven't been updated.
Yeah.
Uh, you,
Yeah,
you,
and then they wonder why they get hacked because they're not
yeah,
updating 89,000 plugins they ordered
yeah, but
from the entire WordPress
that's
repository.
that's usually one of the first things we look at
Yeah.
right away. And a lot of times we tell people up front, like, hey, look, we didn't write your site. We have certain standards on how we build and write sites.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a few hours we're gonna have to do some kind of low level audit to determine if A, we can work on it, or what
Yeah.
it's gonna take to get it up to speed. Another big one, and this one's huge, is underperforming hosting infrastructure. People get set
Yeah.
up in these like $8.99 a
HostGator.
month HostGator, or
I'm calling them out. I'm calling them out. HostGators.
hey, and they made a name for themselves on that. Dude,
Yeah.
the guy
You're
that
like,
started
how many
HostGator.
people can we place on one server? You know what
Right, yeah.
I
Hey, I mean, I
mean?
work in the hosting.
Until
Yeah,
it dies.
it's monetization 101, right? How many can you
Yeah.
cram in to maximize return on investment, right?
Yeah.
And it's great because
Yeah.
you can tell when you're in a new shared server versus a few months or a year down, it just severely degrades.
And that's why I think Automatic bought Pressable was because
What a great,
they really quality
what
matters.
an amazing move that was. Let me tell you, man.
Yeah, that I think that's why Pressable
I
is shines.
I've had websites run on other hosting providers on their dedicated server, moved them over to Pressable's shared environment, and
Yeah,
outperformed.
we just started too. We have a few that we were putting on Pressable because we offer the Pressable management plans now, as well as they actually come from, let's say, WordPress as a customer saying, we and it's like WordPress.com or Pressable. Usually, if it's a brand or blog,
Yeah,
small site, I'd say WordPress.com is fine. But if they do, like you said, have many plugins, Pressable, it's just easier to work out, I think,
that's a
on a
great.
Pressable
Yeah,
server.
it's funny they were just kind of missing that element, and that like
Perfect.
it,
Yeah.
it it really tightens up their circle, with not only the software but the hosting infrastructure. And then if you get on an enterprise plan and you can talk to their top tier support, like it's that golden circle, dude. It's great.
Yeah. So, what about the theme itself? What do you look for in the theme?
Theme, okay. That's a good one. So, it's kind of tough to rip a custom theme apart, right? And debug it per se. But
Yeah.
a lot of times you get syntax errors.
Yeah. So
There's
you debug it, but you kind of look at kind of if it's running. So the first thing that I always check is like you already kind of mentioned it was the custom CSS code.
I gotcha.
Like if the theme all of a sudden has like theme options and there's like 400,000
Yeah.
lines of custom code, I'm like,
Yeah.
this theme is just broke
Here's
because
here's
it's
a big
not.
one. Here's a big one for you on the themes.
Yeah.
When you don't see a child theme set up.
Oh, you don't if you don't see it,
If
right?
you don't see it, you're like, oh
Yeah,
my
you're
gosh,
screwed.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Like
you have
when
to
they're like,
explain that.
oh,
You have to explain it to the
they're like
customer. Like,
every
hey,
time I update the parent, or they don't say parent, but they're like every time I update the theme, it breaks.
everything breaks. Yeah, there's no child
It's
theme.
because you don't have a child
Yeah.
theme.
There's no plugin for compression or minimization, or code optimization, which is also huge.
Yeah.
We like to use WP Rocket. That's got some
Yeah,
amazing
that's what we used
tools.
to. And that and Cloudflare, combination of Cloudflare and WP Rocket we
I
use.
gotcha. Yeah, you definitely need some kind of CDN, whether it's, provided by your hosting environment or you go third
Yeah.
party. But yeah,
Particularly
those are great
if you
answers.
have if you're a national company, definitely for a CDN. But if you're international, or let's say you sell all over, CDN is a game changer, I think, because that's where it really comes. We had a couple of clients, including our plugin site, when I put a CDN, just because we have so many
Yeah,
like all over the place. I think that really
yeah.
helps. That
Also, here's some other signs, telltale signs. You go on the back end, you start messing around with settings, and you start getting, you know, crashes, internal server error crashes.
oh yeah,
That's big.
501,
Yeah, like
504.
any 500, yeah, any 500, or
Or
you
just a
get
500.
yeah, or gateway timeouts. That means the
Yeah,
server is working too
yeah.
hard, or your code just isn't optimized to run on the server.
Your
That's
processing speeds
Yeah, that's
gone
the
to shit.
first thing we do with customers is listen, you want us to touch this? A, you got to bring it over to our environment. So
Yeah.
we'll usually like bring it over for free initially, just to kind of show the customer, hey, look how much better it runs. Now we can get to work on it.
Well, I think with being a pressable partner or just a WooCommerce WordPress, I think the migration in some cases, especially if it's a small site, they'll even help you. They'll
I mean,
help the
yeah, you don't even
migration
need help from
part.
them. It's a piece of cake. They have the site migration
Yeah.
plugin.
But
It's so turnkey.
I think where you're talking about like a migration is sometimes the site itself, like particularly if it's an e-commerce site and it has like a 40 gig database and 10,000 orders, those are not easy to migrate at all.
Yeah,
They're a
and we
pain in
don't.
the ass.
And by the way, we don't per se migrate it and flip the switch and say, hey, look how great it runs. No, we keep it under a temp URL and show them usually. Like, hey,
Gotcha.
look how much better your site's running now. Now let's start debugging, what plugins are causing issues, what we can do to optimize your
Yeah.
theme and speed up your website. Let's compress all your images.
Yeah.
That's
Or
another
put
big
alt
one too.
tags on
Oh,
them.
yeah, I mean, yeah, from an SEO standpoint,
Uh, so
absolutely.
we're not, and this is not, we're not getting into SEO, but the one thing I wanted to mention about SEO and building of a site, like particularly because when you do the evaluation of a site, I typically take a peek at that as well. I always find that when a web development company builds a website, they never do the on-page optimization of the website, which
Yeah.
I think they should because, when you add an image, it's really easy to add an alt tag, for example.
But then you got to tie that into the an SEO strategy question, right? Have you done keyword research? Have you done keyword mapping? Because what are you
Well,
alt tagging?
my firm belief now with SEO and particularly like alt tags and images, you don't just throw a keyword in an image alt tag. You actually have to say what the image is about because Google's gonna be like, all right, I've heard website designer near me in every page now,
Yeah,
like on your
yeah.
image. So I think it's more of a usability standpoint and also for ADA like disability, people with disability that honestly can't, see
Oh
and
yeah,
need
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
visual representation of the
That,
site.
that's become a huge
That
issue.
yeah. Well, that's what an alt tag's there for, right? It's not for your
Initially, that's what
keyword
they were there for.
stuffing.
Yeah, for the screen readers. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's there for. And people
yeah,
don't realize that, yeah, you might get penalized if you're just keyword stuffing it. But no, I think yeah, like in building that, I think it's important too. Give me some stories where you came in and saved the day by taking over a website management, rebuild, audit, etc.
yeah. Um, we recently took on this client. Not recently, it was about a year ago. Um, it's a company called Harrison's Bird Food. They manufacture and sell organic bird food.
That's that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool
How'd you
actually.
meet that through WooCommerce
It
or?
was it was actually it was through WooCommerce. But it was another agency. It was Inspire. Inspire was like too busy at the
Yeah,
time. They were like, "Hey, Carlos, we can't handle this. Um, can you take on this client for us?" I'm like, "Sure thing." They were on SiteGround on a VPS, so that's the first thing I did. I got him out of there. I was like,
yeah,
"Listen," I'm like, before we touch this thing, if we start fixing and trying to optimize things, and we're getting errors, there's going to be a bunch of finger pointing between us and the hosting company. I'm like,
absolutely.
let's get you out of there." And
Yeah.
let's put you somewhere that's solid, And then we started to approach their issues one by one. The client wanted to do a rewrite. They had a bunch of subscriptions. I said, don't do a rewrite. it's going to cost you a lot of money to do every right.
Yeah.
You're better off just polishing up what you have. And it's still in the works, actually. We're actually getting ready to do a UX UI revamp on the website. Because
Awesome.
now it's solid. Now it's able to take on a lot of orders per day. I can't tell you like how much it takes, obviously, right?
That's cool though. It's isn't it interesting though, like through the WooCommerce partnership, how you work on, you know, so many different verticals, so many
Oh
different
my gosh,
clients. It's fun.
I have a good one for you. This is 5 or 6 years ago. I had somebody reach out to us regarding a milk bank. I'm like,
A milk bank?
a milk bank. It was RM Children. It was a milk bank in Colorado.
Like milk? What kind of milk?
Baby's milk. So listen to this. This is wild, right?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, no, here, hear me out. Hear me
Take
out.
a
I'll tell you.
step back.
Yeah, hold on. I'm
Wait.
gonna tell you.
We're
I'm
not
gonna
talking
tell
about
you.
cow milk here. We're
Yeah,
talking
this is
about.
wild. I mean, I'm gonna tell you what we built around it. We built an
Hey,
amazing.
wait, hold on, just stop. Where's the milk coming from?
It comes from mothers.
Wait, so wait a minute. You're going too fast with this. Let me just say, so they're milking moms.
I don't know if that. Well, I never got into the actual process of how the milk was
Well,
acquired.
no,
I don't know.
because I mean, I think that's really important. If
Yeah, well,
being
I don't know. I'm sure certain mothers were brought in and they donated milk, or they got paid. That part I was never involved on that side of it. But
well,
here's the deal: some mothers cannot produce milk, so a doctor will prescribe mother's milk.
I got you now. So
Yeah,
so basically they want to get the natural milk from
yeah,
a mother
that's
to a
exactly
mother
it.
that's unable to
Yeah.
produce milk versus
So I
formula
mean,
milk.
I had to look this up. I'm like, is this a scam? Was the first thing that pumped into my head. I'm like, I never heard of this. No, it was a
I mean
legitimate
I
business.
see the reasoning of why it definitely needs to be done, but like you just threw a major curveball. Like just
I know. I still tell the
it's
story.
like
And they
I have
turned
some
out,
interesting clients, but that never
yeah, no, they
that
turned out to be a
can't
great
touch
group of
that one.
people, an amazing group of people. We worked together for years, and then they just moved on to somebody else. There was a change in leadership. But here's what we built for them that was amazing, right? They had a WooCommerce website. They had a WordPress site with WooCommerce on it. Um, but they were lacking a lot of features. So we were able, and look, this is where freaking Woo just shines, right? So the first thing we had to do is we had to give the buyer the ability to upload a script
Okay.
because again, it's prescribed, right? The other issue
What
was,
about HIPAA compliance? It doesn't need to be HIPAA?
that was not an issue at the time.
I guess not because
They never,
it's not the drug
yeah, no, you're
administration
right.
have
You're
to
right. It
enforce.
never really came up at the time.
Okay, I don't think
No,
that's a
to make
yeah.
Woo, no, to make Woo HIPAA compliant, it isn't out of the box. Uh,
Well, no, the only reason it has to be HIPAA compliant is if they have to provide personal information such as Social Security, medical records, those type
yeah,
of things. So if you don't, it's just
I
more or
got
less,
you.
yeah.
I got you. And then there's also you need to be on a HIPAA compliant hosting company, which is a nightmare because
Oh yeah,
there's so many layers of security. Uh,
yeah.
because we have a couple of clients we host on HIPAA hosted, and it's just like every time we have to work on these sites, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like you got to jump 10 loops just to do a small update.
Yeah.
So they needed the ability to well, first they needed the ability to have people register, and then once they logged in, they got a set of products that were dedicated to them.
Okay.
They could purchase those products, upload their script, and then they would pick a time for pickup because they couldn't just like bring
Oh
milk
yeah.
from the back and like let it sit there
Fresh
in the
milk.
front.
So is it more like a local, like a local city kind of thing, where they have like
So
X
so
amount of
there yeah,
customers?
so that's cool you asked that. So there was it's a hospital in Colorado, right? And they offer like 3 or 4 different options. One of those options was courier based. So if you live
Okay.
within a 50-mile radius, we customize Woo to show that courier pickup. And
No shit.
it would calculate the radius based on this, not the radius, yeah, the radius or the distance based on the source and say, yes, you're available for delivery.
Yeah, well,
And
that's pretty awesome.
yeah, with the Google Maps API, you can do all that stuff. And then um, another feature was the pickup time because what they would have to do is they would have to, I guess they used to freeze it. So they would have to bring it to the front to another refrigerator, but that refrigerator had like limited space on it. So they couldn't like bring all the orders as they were coming up. So that's why we had like time slots where they could fill for
Ah,
pickup.
gotcha.
And obviously you got
That's
to track.
a big project,
Yeah,
man.
you got to track that, right? You can't say,
So
"Oh, everybody come pick up at 4 o'clock today." You can say,
So
"Hey,
I think you have a ton of like cool customizations that I've heard that you've done over the years. You definitely have a plugin set there that you can start doing plugins or selling, certain plugins or certain
you know,
features.
you're way ahead of the curve on me on that one." It's something I've tried to do multiple times and I just haven't.
Yeah, hold on a second. I messed that up. Forgot I have a light in here. Damn
All right.
it. Anyway, all right. So yeah, um that's pretty interesting. I would say for only cool one I have is uh I would say it's kind of different. It's horror mugs.
Oh, I've seen that site. You did a nice job on that
Yeah,
site.
turkey murk. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
it's not. Oh, but I did do horse food in
Oh, that's pretty
Colorado.
cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it was
awesome.
like horse food, which was just cool. I mean, clients were pretty cool, and then
Yeah,
I got another client that also did horse food.
yeah, yeah.
But food
I,
wise, yeah, I've either worked with horses or people.
I'll tell you another cool one we did in terms of like workflow and customization. And I've demoed this project for you before. It's a company called Tropic Air Rescue out of Fort Lauderdale. And
I
what they
think you
do
told
is,
me.
yeah, if you go to the Bahamas, they only service the Bahamas, right? But if you go to on vacation to the Bahamas, and something happens to you, you can buy insurance from them, and they'll come get you in like 30 minutes. They'll get up on their chopper, come get you, and fly you into one of the hospitals here.
No shit.
The problem
That's
with
pretty
that is
awesome.
you can't just have anybody sign up, right?
Yeah.
Because now if you're bringing people in from another country, what if they're not legal? Now you're smuggling people.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
we
Yeah, so you have to have the identifying that the
correct.
whatever
So
you call it,
we
travel
did a custom
identification.
integration with Persona so that as
Yeah.
and it's a pretty complex workflow, right? Because it could be one person or a family of five. They get to print out a card that says they have a membership. But throughout the whole registration process,
Wow.
you need to scan every person. Every person has to be verified before you can allow the checkout.
How much is that? Like, what's the going rate to fly your, let's say, a family of five that has to get
So
out
they're
of
not,
Bahamas?
so think about it like this. You're not paying for like private transportation. You're paying somebody to come get you in case something happens to you. So whether you're staying there for a
Oh,
month,
I get that, but let's say something get. So, what's the membership like? Like I'm in
oh,
Bahamas, I'm
oh,
a
it's like
heart
it's like
issue, and I
$69 a
need.
day.
Oh, it's how much?
It's like $69 a day.
That's not that bad.
No, no, it really isn't for a one pack, I think. I haven't looked at the pricing on
Honestly,
that
that's
one.
not that bad, particularly because if you're older, and I like, well, I used to travel to the Bahamas on my boat until I sold my boat, but going over there, that was like one of the scary things because you might be in a part of Bahamas that's just like Grand Cay, for example, doesn't have much, and it's
Oh,
four
yeah.
hour boat ride away. If you have a heart problem, you got to get to a hospital. You're in deep shit. Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
that
No,
bad.
no, it's actually I take it back. It's $25 a month a day.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's pretty
Or,
good.
or if you live there and you're an American citizen, um,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. You can pay yearly.
That is nothing if you travel to the Bahamas
It's
and
it's good
want
peace of
assurances
mind.
that you're going to be picked up in case of an
Dude,
emergency
dude, you get
or
bit by a
help.
shark or God knows, like,
Oh,
anything.
hell yeah. That
Yeah.
is actually a great service.
Yeah, yeah, they'll come
Okay,
get you,
hashtag
dude.
that thing.
What's that?
Hashtag that in the video. I give
Yeah.
that some props.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's
this is
awesome.
again it's like a pretty complex workflow, But a lot of the stuff you can do that with
Yeah.
a lot of the plugins like it
So,
uses.
so, so is the mom milking website.
Oh, somebody else took it over and they rewrote it.
Oh, gotcha. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Again, there was like this change of, the one guy that was our contact there. He left and somebody else came in, and then just
Yeah.
the relationship wasn't the same. They had their own people. You know how sometimes that happens. Leadership
Yeah, I
changes and
gotcha.
they're bringing their own team. So it's like, what are you gonna do? So they
I've
like,
had that happen
yeah,
a
they just
couple of times.
yeah, yeah, many times they slowly phased us out. They weren't like, see you guys, but they were like, hey, look, we're building a new site. We're gonna use another
Yeah.
agency, and we were like, hey, no problem.
I had a company that phased us out, but it was for all the wrong reasons. I'm not going to mention the kind of client or what they do, but they had a new guy come in that was like a creative director or whatever. And then he brought his friend in who was pseudo web developer, and the guy didn't know what he was doing.
It
And
happens.
he threw us under the bus for so many things I had to call him out on. I'm like, no, that's actually the change you made on this day that brought down the website. And like it just got
He's
to like be
messing with
like
the
a
wrong
problem.
guy when it comes to that.
Yeah, and it just, it's just sad because the
I
owner of the company had no idea what was going on,
Yeah,
but and I didn't want to be like reaching out to the owner
I
being
get it.
like,
Yeah.
I just let it go.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Just
it's
there's
gone.
there's more clients out there.
Yeah,
I had people leave, like get rid of me or get rid of us, and then call us back.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
hey, we actually need you back. We didn't realize how valuable your company was, or or hey, we kind of hired you for this project. We put it on the back shelf. Now we want to bring it back, and we know you're the guy for it, kind of thing. And
yeah.
that takes the bruise away from your ego a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've had a couple come back. Same type of thing. They went somewhere else, and I left the door. You leave the door open. You say,
Yeah,
hey, if you need help, give us a call.
yeah.
And I had one that said I should have listened to you, and they're like, we're gonna need you to rebuild what was done, and unfortunately I had to too. I even looked at the new thing that they had done, and I'm like, this is pretty bad. Like I have to, like, let me just give you what you need, and I even gave them a bigger discount than what I quoted, just because he came back and made it all nice. So shit happens.
This made me think. You were asking like, what customers have really helped. We had one customer who's still our customer years ago. He was migrating over from Magento to Woo, and somebody else had done the migration.
Yeah.
And they lost all their organic traffic like overnight.
Oh,
And
oh,
the
so
guy was like, I
bad.
felt so bad. The guy was like desperate because the guy
And
was
you can't get it back nowadays. Like back in the day, you could probably get it back, but nowadays it's like once you lose, they just kick you to the curb, and it's harder to rank back up, in
well,
my opinion.
I I looked at this. I told the customer, look, before we sign anything, before I give you any estimates, let me just see what I'm working with to see if I can help you. And
Yeah.
right away, I could tell the whole website structure had changed. All the URLs were different, obviously, because you're coming from
I
a
think you
different.
told me this story a
Did I
long
tell you
time
this one?
ago.
So, but the site was so incomplete in terms of functionality and features that I told the guy, I said, look, go back to Magento, put it behind a WAF because he
You
he
told me
couldn't.
this story
Yeah,
a long
he couldn't
time
upgrade.
ago.
He couldn't upgrade his Magento, and it was vulnerable with that security bug on checkout where they used to be able to fish your credit card. I
Yeah.
was like, just put it behind the WAF. I'm like, that's gonna buy us a couple months. We can get your site up to speed and then do this right. And it's
Yeah.
been a woo ever since, and happy on it.
Yeah. So yeah, SEO, we talked about many times talked about the same topic. Yeah, just SEO, you don't want to. You don't.
Yeah,
It's like nerve-wracking when they have really good SEO.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
have a lot of sales.
yeah,
The project almost becomes infinitely harder because like a new startup company has nothing. It's easy. Like I just got to build a really good site. Doesn't not have to worry about all these signals and everything coming in. But they have an established site. You have to hire an expert at because if you don't, they could mess up so many different things.
If it's a brand new
So
site,
many on so many
yeah.
different levels.
If it's an existing established website, it's one of our questions during strategy is,
Oh yeah,
how do you generate traffic? Do you have a strong SEO footprint? And then from there, we automatically package in a whole SEO solution, right? So, we look at what pages generate the most content, what keywords you rank for to what pages, and we just want to make sure that all those pages are
yeah.
properly 301 and you're not removing them either.
And yeah, because when you launch the site, you have to be staring at those KPIs, of each one of those and making sure that they're good. And having both teams be aware, because even my team, I told them the other day, it's like we have to be when we migrate and look at move a site. We need to go on Google Search Console and every day be staring at that for at least a month, just checking it. And if you see any sort of fluctuation, you start that's a
Yeah.
red flag.
Yeah,
Like you guys,
tracking
what
total
happened?
force.
Are we slower? Is there something coming up on Google Search Console that's like missing 401 pages, whatever redirects, not there because Yeah, there's at least 15 things I think when it comes to just SEO and migrating a website, whether it be relaunching or new, that you have to look for that you don't mess up. Because if you do, it literally it takes a it takes a dive.
Yeah, yeah. And
I
go,
sorry, I know we're
go,
bouncing around. I think we spent just on the first one. I don't know how many segments we're going to get through today. I don't know if you want to go to like the next topic or
oh, I was already on topic 4 or segment 3. Real,
I
real
think
world, real
oh
world
you made
turnaround.
okay. I didn't know if we wanted. I know we've been. Oh, I guess yeah. You've been. Did you ask me the question? You told me to ask
No, no,
you the
you
question.
asked me. You asked me, remember? Can you give some examples?
Oh well, yeah. So we talked. Do we go to rescue in action, real world turnarounds, which you did? Okay, actual stories. All right, yeah, we're there. Scope fine. All right. Okay, so yeah, okay, let's talk about that. So when you come and you do see a site that is a train wreck, that's pretty bad, that taking on is a risk on your part, because let's face it, as an agency, you don't want to take on a very bad site because it becomes your problem, not even the
Yes.
clients at that
Yeah.
point. They're like, I'm going to give my mess to you.
Right.
It's your mess now. Fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You gotta,
that's how
yeah.
you feel, right?
You gotta make sure you can fix it. Like, okay, look, we've done this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how we handle customer expectations. Like a lot of times, I- a lot of times, if we can't help them, we'll be upfront. Say, look, I can help you figure this out, but it's
Yeah.
not really my key of expertise. Go with somebody else that can help you on this because you're gonna end up paying me more, is what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
It's like that saying, right? If you think hiring an expert is expensive, wait until you hire a novice kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, we had a guy coming over to Woo from Drupal. They had built this Drupal membership site with subscriptions,
Good old
and
Drupal.
yeah, good old Drupal. Yeah, they're still around, man.
Which
They
is
wanted
surprising, but
they were so far behind on the version that they had. They couldn't even upgrade PHP on the server. They were paying the hosting company like, I don't know, $800 a month extra just to have this older version of PHP
oh,
on there.
that's kind of sad. You know,
It's
that's some
Well,
bullshit.
dude, it's a security issue, man.
Oh, well, I mean,
Once
still,
think
it's like
about
if
it.
it was it a dedicated
It was
box?
a dedicated server. Yeah, once these technologies get deprecated and they're open source, it's just a ticking
Yeah, but
time
eight
bomb,
hundred
man.
dollars to be that's just I don't know. It seems like
I
it's a bit
I don't know what
in
to
and
tell
over.
you, but that was it.
I,
Look, that was the option they gave them. They basically could have said no, you gotta upgrade anyway. They couldn't upgrade it because they
can
had
you
been
tell me who the host was?
wait, what? Oh, I
Who was
forgot.
the
I forgot who the
host?
host was. It was a while ago. But I
Yeah.
basically told these guys, I go, look, what you're asking for on WooCommerce, we can make it for you. We've never made the actual same exact thing that you want, but we've come very close.
Yeah.
The problem here is time. You've been running this site for over 5 years, and
Rebuild it.
you want to compress all those 5 years of features and customizations into like a 6 month timeline, and then you want to migrate all your customers. I'm like, that's not how you do it here. I'm like,
Yeah.
build a new platform and start bringing people over little by little.
Yeah.
And I basically give them that ultimatum. I go, otherwise we're not going to do it. We
So they
can't.
take it?
Well, they did not, and
Uh,
they said, hey man, they like thank me for the insight.
but have you ever did you look at where they're at now and did it look like they actually got to where they needed to
I
be?
have no idea. I mean, I could
Sometimes I'll go look and
yeah,
check
yeah, I
and
know what you mean. Yeah, no, 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 I could go back.
I had one guy in Colorado. I don't know why I keep talking about Colorado today,
Yeah.
but it was he does like emergency air or some shit like that. It was like oxygen, like they sell
Oh, okay.
oxygen
Like in
tanks and
like
stuff.
when you go to Peru, you can buy it.
Yeah. Um, he was so picky, and he had a project manager that was also equally picky, but in different ways. So he's telling me to do one way, she's telling me to do one way. It got to the point where I didn't even get to the website. Website had to be rebuilt regardless. So we got past all that point, but we're talking about just the creative now. Like it was to the point I gave them back all of their deposit and everything and the
Yeah.
money, and I even gave them all the files, all the creative files, because I don't want any trouble. I was like, hey, I we just don't fit.
Yeah,
Like,
that
so not
happens. That
even just
happens.
from a
Yeah,
maintenance perspective, or if the website's not built right. I've had clients where we just didn't jive. Like it
yeah, it
just,
happens.
yeah, and it doesn't happen often. It's like maybe 1 out of 20,
No, you're
like
right. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
creative
if
wise.
it happens like 9 out of 10 times, then maybe you got to look at yourself, right? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. It's hey,
You know, and that's one thing I have to say about the standards of the web. I think that's the only thing I liked about because I always tell my kids, we talked about this the other day, internet was so much cooler in 2002, 2005, like with Flash animated sites and then Apple and
this ruined
Google
it. This ruined
and
it.
they, yeah, and the
Yeah.
fucking mobile phone just
And
ruined
now, like,
how cool it could have been.
do you know why the LLMs are doing so well? Because you get the answer right there, right? You don't have to go poke around websites with pop-ups and ADA notifications and cookie notifications.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, the web has been ruined in terms of experience,
So
man.
basically, I don't know about you, but like I used to search Google for like everything, right? Like and I'm not a fan of Google. I just have to search because all it did that well, right?
Yeah.
I literally only use Google now for local stuff.
Oh, I say, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't ever use Google for anything. Like I use ChatGPT or
Yeah.
AI or we have like, I don't know,
I
so many damn GPTs that we use
yeah.
at here.
I love conversational Grok. Grok
Conversational what?
Grok.
What does
Grok is
that mean?
XAI's LLM.
Oh, okay.
Um
Yeah, you get all acronyms on me here.
yeah, they launched their their GPT model, which is called Grok, but it's conversational. I mean, ChatGPT is also conversational,
Grok.
but
How do you spell?
Grok
What's
is
the
just
URL?
you go to x.ai, you go to Twitter/X, and you can download Grok, and then they have the iPhone app.
Oh, it's on. So it's Twitter's AI.
Yeah, well, it's XAI. It's
You know
XAI.
what? I think
It's
I know
hard, man.
things.
I know it's hard to keep up with
I,
all of it.
I can't keep up with
Yeah, it's hard.
every. I just started figuring out Gemini with Google. I didn't know Grok was around.
Which, by the way,
Why do you name
they
it
had
Grok?
I don't know, it's just what they named it. But
These are the questions you should be asking all day. This is the dumb shit, the dumb nonsense that I put in my
I
brain.
I was I was talking to it this weekend, asking how large the data set was, and it wouldn't say it.
Uh,
Like how many
Oh, it's
petabytes?
named after a Robert A. Heinlein science fiction novel, Stranger in a Strange Land.
That's so it's so
In the
Elon Musk.
book, Grok means a deeply, intuitively understanding of something. Oh,
Oh,
uh,
that's so Elon Musk. It's like the Falcon rockets from SpaceX.
yeah,
They're named after the Millennium Falcon.
that is awesome.
Yeah, I just that's just so him, right?
Which, by the way, my son's gonna buy a Tesla. I told you. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna go look at.
All
You
right,
know,
so
I think
back.
about that though. Like my son's gonna buy a Tesla, but the first thing that came out of mind, I was like, I hope there's not going to be any crazy person that's going to confront him because he has a Tesla. He's a good kid. He's not like great person for
I
society.
haven't had that. I mean, come on.
Well, we're in Florida, thank God.
Yeah, that's true. Yes,
It ain't gonna happen here, but
I
imagine
know.
like,
I
yeah,
know.
but I mean, like, it's sad
Have you
that you have
noticed
to think about
it's
that.
gone away? That's so last week
Well, you know why it's gone away, right?
because of Diddy.
People are getting they're finding out real quick that their life's over once they do something like that. That's just something that is a felony, and
Oh
you're going to
yeah,
go to
yeah. Come on, yeah.
and it's also overly polarized right now. So you're going to be made an example, unfortunately, for most. That's they don't realize it ruined their lives. But anyway, long story short, Grok is yeah, I got to check that out.
Yeah,
So
it's the anyway, we can have a whole different show or episode about that.
yeah.
Let's kind of go back on track here.
All right, so we're I think we talked in okay, the you talked about the scope and all that. We've gone through that. Most has, nice has. I guess we don't have to go too far into like that, but like basically, let's say they have Elementor, or they have certain like actually let me back that up. Let's say someone has a website and they bought a theme on, let's say, Theme Forest or somewhere right that like
Yeah,
that, right? Where it's
happens
like
all the time. Happens all the time.
okay, all right, so you know where I'm going with this,
Yeah, I
right?
think so.
Okay. I don't work on that's number one there. Like if you bought a theme from Theme Forest that is built and it's like its own builder inside and its
Right, right,
own
yeah.
code, I always tell them you have one guy supporting that versus let's say an Elementor or an Oxygen builder or a Beaver builder where it's a platform. It's supported by a team of developers, which usually has a simplistic theme
Yeah,
that
a
goes
lot of
with
the
it.
themes now, a lot of the themes that you buy now are compatible with Elementor or Beaver.
Yeah,
They'll tell you right up front.
it's getting better, but
Yeah,
like I definitely don't like.
it's become the standard per se.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there are some good themes on Theme Forest that work do the job, but we just
Yeah.
don't we don't do that. We build custom sites. Like I would not buy a theme for somebody and just put their logo on it.
Yeah, no, I mean we use themes sometimes. We use themes as frameworks, depending on
Well, I
budget.
mean, you can like so. Then let's like take that back a minute. So Beaver Builder has its own Beaver theme, right? Elementor has different themes that you could use for Elementor. So in that framework, I use that, right? We'll use the theme and build a custom design based on that. But we build it in the builder, right? So the design itself
Yeah.
is following the best practices within that builder framework. Where I'm talking about is like theme options in like I'll give you a perfect example of a theme that we used to use that is on Theme Forest, and that's Enfold. You know Enfold?
I think I do, yeah.
Oh yeah, Enfold. You're a Avada. You were a Avada guy, right? You like Avada? Still you still use Avada?
No. Um
Okay.
we
Well, you were like
I
back
gotta
in the
tell you, I'm
day.
gonna
Like
tell you
when
a
I was
funny
the
oh, I
Enfold
gotta tell
guy,
you a
you were
funny
an
story.
Avada guy.
I gotta tell you a funny story right now.
Yeah.
Um we used Avada to build c2cg.net, which is what we were originally.
Oh yeah, back in the day.
It's
Yeah,
really
that was
good.
like that was like 10 years ago though. So I mean
Yeah.
that's when it was good.
It's still in Nevada.
I was still in Avada.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
we're
look,
getting ready. We're almost done building our new site.
what would you use to build it in?
Well, we
Uh,
haven't built it yet. We're just finishing the design process,
so
right?
I told you the oxygen builder. Did you look at oxygen
Oh,
builder?
no, we're probably gonna use Elementor.
Elementor?
Yeah.
You know what? If I would use Beaver Builder because it's a lot less lightweight. I feel like I can
Yeah,
make
I know.
sites.
It's just it's one of those things where none of our devs work on that. So it's like it's a
Oh,
learning
gotcha.
curve, dude. You know how that goes.
So
Um,
going back to my point about the theme itself. That's one of the things I always if I see it like it's a theme forest from a one-off
yeah,
developer, it's usually a problem. Like you want to make sure the theme is built from a framework that you can trust as
that you
well
can
as
work
it's
with.
supported
Yes,
by
yes,
a
yes, yeah.
development
Yeah,
team
yeah,
that
yeah.
has good support.
So yeah, like
Um,
so yeah, so you can tell the customer, like, look, I'll give you a good example. This is if you ever bought salmon in Costco, there's a
yeah,
good chance it came from these guys.
Patagonia.
Yeah,
You know, it's funny. It's Black River Caviar was one I did. Look at Black River Caviar as well. It's
oh
from
yeah.
it's not from Patagonia. It's from it's in South America. I forgot where. We used to work with these guys as well. You're Uruguay? Did I say it right? Uruguay?
Oh, Uruguay. Oh wow. Yeah, you made this?
Like eons ago. I think
Oh,
this
I
is
say. I say.
someone else probably took it over. It kind of looks like what we built,
I gotcha.
but
But yeah,
Caviar's awesome, by the way.
this is built on Enfold, the Enfold theme. So
Oh, really?
well, the customer
Yeah.
they were like, hey, we have to revamp our site. We don't want to spend a lot of money. What options do you have for us? I'm like,
There
well,
you go.
if you want to use a theme, that's going to save you a nice percentage. But hey, look, we still have to bring in one of our designers.
Yeah, you still have to customize
this one-
Enfold. Like the thing about Enfold, you still have to write custom
yeah, yeah,
CSS.
yeah. Not only that, but at
Like
least like
Beaver
the
Builder has an
elements.
Elementor, you don't actually have to write custom CSS code. You can have a completely different design for every client, but never physically rewrite any of the CSS code.
And that's kind of
Yeah,
like you get that framework. Your 404 pages are done. All your
yeah.
styles are already defined. You don't have to go coding that from scratch per se, right? And the
Enfold was a great
designer,
team. They
the des-
just didn't keep up with the builders, basically, in my opinion. The
yeah,
builders
yeah.
were
And
past them.
the designer is aware of, or you have to make the designer aware of the theme you're going to be using so they can stick to those styles.
Well, that's even hard because most designers, unless they know where to kind of sit, it's hard to.
They know by now. What you do is you present the customer with like a demo, and then
No,
they
I'm
pick.
talking about, let's say you have a creative director or art director that is not one of the developers that's going to build the website. They need to know all the complexities of that theme so they
Yeah,
don't
I say.
design you in a corner where you have to like do some customization. That's always a
Yeah,
pain. Yeah.
yeah. Well, anyway, it's just
It's a beautiful
that's
website.
yeah, no, that's our approach on, using a theme. We'll tell the customers, hey, are you
What do
okay?
you got running the videos in the background?
It's straight up, it's self-hosted.
Self-hosted, really?
Yeah. It's like here, it's been
Dude,
so
I mean, you
long.
don't have like a streaming server for the video
No,
itself?
no. It's been so long since
Oh, gotcha.
it's been so
I
long
mean,
since
it's loading pretty fast.
yeah, I'm telling you, if you can get a video and compress it, you can see if I
Get
can
it down
find it
to
here.
nothing.
You can get it down to just a few megs.
So
I can't find the source
there
on it.
was an AppSumo deal that was gold that I got. It was Gumlet.
Uh-huh.
I have, I think, something like just a ridiculous amount of bandwidth on Gumlet, absolutely free for life. So I literally could
Oh,
host like
I got you. Yeah.
tons of video like
Yeah,
for free.
yeah.
I don't know about, have you ever used AppSumo?
I have, yeah, you always bring it up.
Oh yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
one that sent it to you.
I'm back on their newsletter now. Trying to buy some
How many
holiday.
have you bought? How many deals do you have from
I just
AppSumo?
I haven't
I have like 425 I bought over like this period of like 12 years. They don't really have the like they used to have such like way like 10 years ago it was just different. They used to have all these new type of apps. Now it's like all this AI stuff. It's not, but every once in a while they'll still have a gem like Reap, the one that we use to
yeah.
cut the video stuff.
Yeah. No,
That was
I like that.
yeah,
That was a good buy.
that was a good buy. All right, so I think we're on to probably the last one, really. Well, I mean, we kind of scratched off it a little bit, but when do you decide to start from scratch versus fixing what's there?
That's a good
How
one,
often
man.
does that happen too?
I don't think I've ever had to start from scratch unless it was a rewrite. Um,
What if it's a brand website? Usually a brand website, you think that.
I don't, I mean,
Well, I guess
it-
let me rephrase that. So, like when do you rebuild? Like, because there's two things: one, redesign and rebuild, right?
yeah, yeah.
Obviously, if it's a redesign, the client's
Yeah,
pushing to have it redesigned. But has there ever been a case where you're like, the client thought some user experience was good or the look and feel was good, but then when just looking at their brand, it didn't line up, and you're like, this needs to be redesigned? That would be the first part. Second part would
yeah,
be
I
is
got you. I got you.
if it's a site that that's already built that we talked about might be on 300 plugins and all that. Um, when you at what at what point would you say that this site should be rebuilt? And in most cases, it may just be the fact that you could provide a build that's much better and faster for them, right? Because not let's say that their site is built in a more of a complex way, but you can
Yeah,
get to that point much faster. Like kind of give me your thoughts on that.
yeah. So in terms of rebuild, um, we usually rebuild the visual layer or the presentation layer.
Okay.
And we only do that once we have the actual application optimized. Making sure it's not giving errors, making sure you got the right plugins,
Okay.
everything's running
Gotcha.
good. If we have to make some minor UX UI adjustments, maybe to the product detail page or the checkout funnel, we'll do that on the existing theme.
Gotcha.
At some point, if it's a poorly written site, um, we'll just redress it, because everybody always has the same
Yeah.
questions. Well, what's going to happen to all my customer data? What's going to happen to my subscriptions? What's going to happen to all the orders? And you can explain to them like, hey, we're just building a new theme. right?
Yeah,
And
well, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because you're not like if it's an e-commerce site, you're not rebuilding it, right? You're taking the existing build and building on top of it.
no, and WordPress and Woo are, I mean, unless somebody has gone in there and just dramatically customized things, which I've never run into,
Yeah,
it's easy to get it pretty stable if you know what you're doing.
yeah.
It's easy to
I
bring it
think
up.
the
Yeah,
only thing that is kind of a pain in the ass is to clean up the database with all like if someone like you said installed like 80 plugins.
all that. Yes,
That's a lot of data but I will say this, a lot of
yes.
people won't clean that shit up. They won't
Well,
go in there and delete all those like, cause
there,
sometimes plugins will create,
of course. Oh yeah,
tables in
yeah.
the
Table,
database.
yeah, dude. Like,
You gotta clean up all that.
got some stories for you on that one. But there's some good plugins out there that'll identify the table
Yeah,
size, what plugin it's attached to.
transient, like
Well,
tables and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
transient data is another thing, but no, like there's like what is it? WP Optimizer. You can
Yes,
actually
that's a
it'll
good
outline
one.
your table sizes and tell you what plugins are attached to. It's that
Yeah.
that helps dramatically, man.
It's a simple thing a lot of people forget to do.
Yeah,
Like
no, no, but it's funny
I
when we, yeah, we always look at
yeah,
every time we bring a site over, because we charge based on disk usage. We always look at the database size. If it's over a couple gig, it's a red flag. Like, why are these
yeah.
databases so large? These are not big websites.
I have a client, Maribel Alvarez, Ultimate International. She's in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I think her database, because she has images dating back 20 years. I think it's 20 years all work. No, not 20. Like eight. Like she started WordPress from the very beginning. She literally has the same database. So, so the images, there's just so many images in there, and then I had to like kind of.
So, but that wouldn't be the database. The database though, it'd be in the file system.
Well, you're right. Sorry. Part of that's the file system, but the database itself is still very large
From
because of the
from
file
all the
system.
references in there.
Yeah, she has posts going back years, like years and years and years, and they're
Yeah.
still
Oh
there.
my God.
She's not.
My
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah. What?
So
Hey, how would you clean that up?
you know, I tried it. So I have them on AWS because that's the
Uh,
best place to host them. But I tried to move them to WordPress.com.
yeah.
Daughter has a site that's on actually hosted on WordPress.com versus hers, which is on AWS. But WordPress.com, I even had the engineers try to get it over there too, because I was on that beta test case like 3 years or 4 years ago to bring some clients over, and they couldn't host it because it wasn't able to. It just didn't have enough power. It was failing and that was before they didn't have Pressable. I would have probably brought it to Pressable at
I
that
see.
time.
It was just that it's just a large data set. Is that why?
It's just a large. It's like 40 gigs, I think, for the size of the site, but the database itself, I think, it's like 8 gigs or something. It's
I
just
would
massive.
probably I would probably run some SEO analytics on it, see what doesn't get traffic, and just purge all that.
Well, yeah, it's up to her. Like, yeah,
I mean, obviously, yeah, it's up to her,
keeps
but
it all.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
she keeps like there's stuff from like years ago on there. It's a good site. I mean, it's like they do a lot of. That's where I met the Black River Caviar company from them.
gotcha,
So, which
gotcha.
by the way, let me just talk about $1,000 North or 1,000 North. Yeah, you ever been to one? You've been to one? Yeah, we went to lunch
We've
there.
been
One
there,
thousand.
we've been there, yeah.
I call it $1,000 North. It's Jordan's
I
restaurant.
mean, yeah, I mean, we like special occasion been there, not like on a weekend basis.
We do it once a probably month. We might try to
That's
go.
Jordan's restaurant in Jupiter,
Yeah.
not Tiger Woods,
So
right? Tiger Woods is called the Wood.
yeah. So I went there last Sunday with my whole family. I had my kids, everything,
Nice.
and dude, I always like getting the salmon platter. The
Uh-huh.
salmon like lox and salmon bagel.
Yeah.
They have a mean one that's good. And I indulged myself this time, and I got caviar.
Nice.
What a game changer! On top of a salmon spread, a
It's
little bit of
ruined, it's
caviar.
ruined you. It's ruined you.
It's so good. I was like, this is yeah, it's $1,000 north, but it's a joke that everyone, my pastor at the church here, he makes a joke and calls it $1,000 north
No,
because
he's right on. It's
it
like going to Whole
is
Foods, right? Whole wallet. That's always been the joke.
so good though.
You
Caviar
get what you pay
on
for.
a salmon
Oh,
bagel, like capers and anyway, sorry, I had to throw that in there. We'll have to go get one. That'll be
So,
on
so
me.
anyway, yeah. So like in terms of rewrite, I don't think we've ever had to do like a full rewrite. Maybe rewrite in terms of like coming over from Magento, just but on the WordPress side, I mean, just WordPress has gotten so good over the years, man. I mean,
I just the only time sometimes when I'll do a like if I'm gonna change the theme and I know I'm gonna change like the move it to like a custom theme to like Beaver
yeah,
Builder or Elementor and I gotta rebuild all the pages anyway, sometimes I'll start vanilla and just read because I
but
know I'm
because yeah, but
redoing
you've
it.
just that's just the presentation layer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But if it's WooCommerce and they have orders and all that, yeah, you have to keep all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I have asked the customer, this will save you money and time if you don't need this data. Like if you're okay starting from scratch, you don't
Oh
have to
yeah.
store it
Oh yeah,
anywhere.
yeah. Yeah.
That
Whenever,
will
yeah,
save
yeah.
that will save 10% on the proposal. You know how
Yeah,
much time
it's a nightmare to
they're
import
like,
data.
no problem.
Yeah,
I don't need that. And it makes my
yeah,
life easy.
yeah, yeah,
Then I'm
yeah.
like,
It's
oh,
funny, yeah.
so we
Um,
offer always if they want to, cut costs, that's
yeah,
actually one way to cut. And it's surprising a lot of them say yes. So
yeah. But you also get the other side of it too, where they're like, no, we want all our customers,
hell no.
or we got 1,000 subscriptions, we want to bring those over.
Oh hell, dude! So I'll be like, hey, I got my buddy Carlos that I'm gonna refer you to. I do not do subscriptions, man. I hate them. I know you do those more than I do, but subscriptions, literally, we did one of the short videos we did where one of our last discussions got a lot of views when I said subscriptions are a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, you're right.
They really are.
But you know what? Like over the years,
They got
I-
better.
well, I've learned to like be more expressive with people and tell them like, here's what's going to happen if you do that,
Oh yeah.
right? And explain that software has limitations and that if we start making changes, it's not going to be in their
Well,
best interest to support it. Which
I
is
think they I think they appreciate that too because they're like, no one's told me that yet.
right.
And you're
We just
telling me like everything I should watch out for,
we just we just had a client that came over to us on the Shopify side, and they sell hair products for B2B and B2C. But they came over, the site was already built by a friend, so they couldn't finish the wholesale side. And I told them up front, I'm like, listen, I'm like, Shopify, you can do wholesale, but just it's very limited. Just FYI. And we ran into this.
you got to pay the Shopify Plus, which is just dumb amount of
I
money.
mean that, yeah, yeah. And but I told them that up front, and then when we couldn't do one thing they wanted, which is they wanted these particular products on the wholesale side to be taxable, not tax exempted. I'm sorry, I'm like the plugin just doesn't do that, and it's not something that we can
Which
just do.
you got to do. Check out B2B King, B2B King Wholesale.
B2B
That's
King
the one we
Shopify.
use. They have an awesome filter kind of and script kind of system where you could do anything if this needs does that kind of thing. Like they're very diverse in how it works. That's where we have everybody. We used to do Wholesale Suite, which is the another one.
Yeah, but wait, Judd,
And
this is a WooCommerce plugin.
yeah, that's the one we. Oh yeah, well, I'm not talking. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, no,
I
no,
thought you
I'm
were
talking
talking
about
about
a
e-commerce.
Shopify client that
Oh well,
I just
tell them they got. I would just tell them they can move from Shopify.
yeah, dude, they just spent all this money and they're 90% there. They're not gonna do that,
Oh yeah,
You know what I
there
mean?
was. So I
But but
looked at.
but the point of my conversation or the point I'm trying to make is that I did prep them up front and say FYI, B2B and Shopify, it's okay. There's gonna be maybe some things you want that we can't do. Because then
Yeah,
when they brought this up to us, they're like, sorry, it's not supported. So now we're talking to the plugin vendor. Just
but it would be support on WooCommerce because you can pretty much do
hands
anything you
hands down,
want.
hands down. And
So yeah, that plug in there was a pretty good one if you're looking for a good wholesale suite that does everything. The other thing too is they have a sales king and a market king. It's called, so they have a marketplace and a salesperson not app but built in for if sales reps want to do stuff too. So that's three tools from one group of developers that can do all sorts of stuff. So their support's pretty good too. Just a recommendation. And they have a
Oh,
lifetime license for all these too, which I always, when I look for a plugin, I always
I
want to
know.
find one that
You
has
like the
unlimited
lifetime.
licensing or lifetime because that's important. Like if you because you know the average lifespan of a plugin user is 3 years, right? So usually if you look at that and you're like, well, if the lifetime license is going to cost me 3 years and this is what I'm going with, and I know after that third year I'm not having to pay for any license anymore. It's I get all updates for free. So it's pretty cool though. It's a great product. And they're
I'll check
not
it
paying
out.
you to say that, but they should.
There you go.
I
I'll reach
think
out to
that
them.
I think we might be at the point where we need to
Yeah. So
I don't know what else we got.
yeah,
Maybe
I think we can wrap it up. I can say I was at the automatic office in New York this week.
oh, how'd that go?
It was really good.
Did you see Ross there? Was Ross there?
Russ was there, and
Nice.
it wasn't so much. Well, first of all, it was the automatic office. It's in NoHo, so it's downtown. What I don't know if you knew this, but automatic bought Tumblr from
I didn't
Yahoo.
know that.
I think they bought them from Yahoo. So they took
Okay.
the Tumblr space.
Okay, cool.
Beautiful office, man. Like
Yeah.
all teched out, barista, fridge full
I
of
miss having an
everything.
office, man. Like, where we live, it's like you don't really you don't really need an office. But like if I was in the city, I would love to, you have to have an office. You can't work from home. Like I think, especially some of those offices they have are just it's cool to be in a place like that. Like Max, you remember Max from RepZio, he had
Yeah,
a awesome office. It was a whole top floor of this condominium right in Juneau. You know those in Juneau by the Bluffs Plaza? There's like those yellow buildings and
yeah.
their office buildings. He had like the fifth floor was his total floor, the coolest looking office space. They had like a bar and everything, and then, like not serving drinks, but just like it was like literally a bar where you could sit at, and it was cool. But yeah, I've been thinking about an office lately and versus working from home. It's been a minute. Do you know where my office was originally?
Oh, yeah.
TD52.
Oh, I think you mentioned that to me. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a cool office, but literally I was the only one going, and it was just I just
that's
yeah,
that's what
and
happened
probably now it's 4 times as much, but it
yeah,
was
yeah.
right on the water. It was nice, but
Yeah, we
anyway,
were, pre-COVID, we were already running hybrid. I
yeah,
I paid an office throughout COVID. Nobody went to it. And then
yeah,
I was just like, I'm done paying this bill. Why am I, they don't have to get rid of
yeah.
all the office stuff.
That's why
Um,
I like to share a code. Like if we could find like 4 or 5 per people like you and come up with your own co-sharing space
yeah,
and like invest in a commercial property, I would do something like that. Where it's like, hey, we're just this is an investment, not we're paying rent. Like we're gonna look at it as an investment for all like 4 or 5 people that I would love to do something like that because then I know what I'm paying is I'm gonna get it all back later. I think if you're gonna get an office nowadays, it needs to be a commercial space that you're gonna purchase. I had an old guy named RJ Gibson Advertising up in Jupiter. I used to work for when I was, in my 20s. Holy cow, thinking about that. He actually bought all of his offices. And I think that's how he retired. It wasn't his agency work. It was the fact that he sold his commercial properties. And he just retired because he made fucking millions.
wow.
Anyway, sorry. Just dropped that bomb.
So anyway,
All right,
so
dude.
yeah, so I got to meet Russ. Um, I met the guy that leads the program now at Woo. Um,
Yeah,
they couldn't have hired like a better person for this.
yeah,
This is a guy that is has a hosting background. He worked at Pantheon. And before
yeah.
that, he worked in an agency.
Firewire. Where's the other one I think he worked at? He worked with Donovan from WordPress VIP at fuck, what's the name of that? You're talking about Ross, right?
No, no, no. I'm talking about the guy's name is James. I gotta look through my info. I forgot his last name. It's the new guy that leads the WooCommerce team. So he's just above Ross.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and he's pretty new. He's only been there for a few months, I think. Um, just like they couldn't have found somebody better for the job. Um,
That's awesome.
Yeah, we should go meet up with them sometime. They're really cool people.
Yeah, I want to go on one of this trip. I'll go on the next one. I have the reason I didn't go on this one is this next month. I think I'm only home one weekend out of next month. Like that's just gonna, I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Oh,
Going
gotcha.
to St. Bart. I'm gonna look forward to that. Just gonna not do anything. I don't. I'm not gonna bring my laptop. I don't even want to bring my phone to be honest, but I'm gonna
Smart,
have to do that.
smart.
And then I have nationals for volleyball for my daughter, which is gonna be awesome. But I'm gonna have to listen to about a million whistles in one day. It's literally like I don't know if you ever been to like a national volleyball tournament.
I have
It's
not.
all three convention centers in Orlando packed, you know, wall to wall with courts. We're talking
Gosh.
hundreds of thousands of people fit in one building. It's
Oh my
crazy.
gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But anyway, all right.